Super Scoreboard presents Scotland's Euro Stories with the Scottish Sun.
Hello and welcome to Scotland's Euro Stories with the Scottish Sun. I'm Stephen Mill. This is the podcast where we're going to be looking back at all our national teams' appearances in previous tournaments. That's 1992, 1996 and of course 2020 as well. Remember, you can get all the latest news and views on Scotland in the Scottish Sun, as well as all the summer transfer moves and rumours at thescottishsun.co.uk. And talking of the Scottish Sun, I am joined by Clyde One Super Scoreboard's resident Anorak and also head of sport at the Scottish Sun, Roger Hannah. How you doing, Roger?
Oh, very well, Stephen. Looking forward to a very busy summer.
Exactly, yes. And I mentioned 92, 96 and 2020. Now, obviously, we all remember 2020. I remember 96. I don't remember 1992, Roger. So I'm going to need your help on this one here.
That's why they've wheeled me in. I'm the only man, just about Hugh Keevan's age, that remembers all of these tournaments. So look forward to an amble down memory lane.
Yeah, so what we're going to be doing is we're going to have a very special guest on every single one of these podcasts. Delighted about today's guest as well. He's from the 2020 squad. Now listen, it's obviously me, Stephen Mill and Roger Hannah who are hosting this podcast, but we've got this other person who thinks he's a better presenter as well.
Hi, are you the next Hollywood celebrity looking to get involved in football? Well, we've got a club that offers real bang for your buck. So, even if you know nothing about football,
stitch up.
that's what you call soccer. You know for sure that your support is helping on and off the pitch.
I'm just waiting for my commission if this Netflix investment comes through, because that was pretty bad.
Please welcome Stephen O'Donnell to the podcast. Thanks so much for being here. There you are, a presenter. That was very good, very natural.
That was shocking. We got given it in the morning. There was loads of lines to try and say.
My favourite bit is where you turn to the camera and you go, and that's what you call soccer. That was just superb, brilliant stuff. But listen, thanks so much for being here. Obviously 26 caps you've got for Scotland and counting perhaps. You started all three games at the tournament in 2020 or 2021, so lots to chat about. Where would you like to start, Roger Hannah, with this man sitting beside you?
Well, I was going to start with Euro 2020 and those games. We hadn't been at a major finals this millennium. You get there that great night in Belgrade, but before that first game against the Czechs at Hampden, was that a career highlight? Was that as excited as you've been going into a game of football, Stephen?
Yeah, no, I think all the build up. I think the only the disappointing thing was COVID.
Yeah,
I think going out there, the thing that was really amazing about it was there was like, I think was it 12,000
Something like that, about 10,000.
When we arrived for the game, they were all in.
Mm-hmm.
So that was pretty cool. That was like when you walk out, you're going, whoa, it's like an hour and a half before kick-off and everyone's in, families in and stuff. You're like, oh, look at a wee wave and stuff. It was that was pretty cool because of COVID. But I'd have loved if it was a full house. It'd made it extra special. But driving along on the bus to the stadium and seeing all the fans, I've said it before, the best thing about qualifying for the Euros was seeing the influx in Scotland strips around the country. Everywhere you go now, even when you go to the games against Aberdeen, whoever it is, you're seeing loads of Scotland tops, and that's kind of something I like to think I played a big part in kind of that change of, it used to be certainly around Lanarkshire, it used to be Celtic and Rangers, Motherwell ones here and there, but now Scotland is a big percentage of that, and it's really great to see what I'd like to think of a part of a legacy of Euro 20.
Roger just touched on the night in Belgrade. Just to go back to that just for a wee second, because you obviously played your part in that as well, right up until the 117th minute, of course. And what I noticed when I was reading about it earlier, because obviously I remember we were on air for the game, but you know, it was a bit of a blurry night in the end, but you got taken off in the 117th minute. It was Lee Griffiths who came on for you. In the semi-final against Israel, you got taken off in the 113th minute, and Kenny McLean came on for you, who I think scored the winning penalty against Israel. I'm right in saying, Roger. So basically, are you just rank at penalties? Is that what it is?
Basically, it is, the manager really trusts me until penalties. That is it.
Like, did you even practice them or anything like that?
Basically, I fall apart. I think
your backside's falling.
Both. The Israel game, there's a quite a good story, and David Marshall will remember it. Was in the Israel game just before I came off, I'd kind of cramp up, and sometimes you cramp up during games, big games. It can happen and goes away, and you're fine. And I think I'd cramped up earlier on in the game, fine, no problem, played on, and the ball got put in behind me. And I'd like to say it was maybe Solomon, who at the time probably wasn't as well known, but he was at Zenit at the time. But he's a top player, and ball got put in behind, and I'm sprinting. And both my and normally I'd think, right, I'm getting there first, a bit of composure, maybe going marsh or trying at least clear it down the line. Both my hammies have cramped up, and I was my hammies, and I've just slide tackled the ball out and just rolled on the floor, waiting to be basically carried off. I was like that. I genuinely couldn't have played on anymore. The Serbia one, wee bit of soft pitch, but I think he'd realised by taking me off Israel it was a good omen, so we'll get him off again.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
And it worked, so I was happy to play my part of coming off, and I was very happy watching the penalties.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, what was it like watching those penalties as well? We've all seen the interviews with Ryan Christie afterwards. He was crying, and I'm sure there was tears all over the place. We've seen the videos from the changing room as well. I mean, how nervous were you watching that there, knowing that the entire country is locked in their houses, we can't go out, we can't do anything, and we're all in the same boat?
I'd like to say I'd have been more nervous. I was more nervous watching, but I probably wouldn't have been if I was taking one. Watching was crazy, and I remember getting raging because there was quite a lot of Serbian, maybe FA guys, and they were all booing and stuff. And it was really, because it was really quiet, other than, and I was like, it's quite pretty poor form. And see me just for obviously, we've got nobody. I get it off 50,000 fans, Serbian fans booing you, I get it. But imagine Maxi, Israel booing all the Israel players, it just wouldn't have looked right.
Totally.
But no, I was absolutely, I was at that point, obviously I'd done all I could have done as such, but I was bricking it. I was because you were that close, we had played so well in the 90 minutes, you kind of feel, oh no, is this going to be another night that could have been, should have been, especially when you could see in the last minute normal time. And thankfully it wasn't, and the composure, the boys in both the semi and the final, knowing it had been so long to show that composure, the standard of penalties were a joke.
Yeah, it was absolutely class.
Back in the hotel, I remember the SFA putting out the social media footage of everybody boogieing, Andy Considine, Big Marshall. Is that as good a post-match, as enjoyable a post-match celebration as you can remember?
Yeah, I think it'd be interesting to compare the boys that have done the two, because obviously this time when they qualified, it was pretty much guaranteed in how well they'd done in the start of the campaign, and they were able to kind of spend it with whoever they wanted. But with that, certainly with that trip, you were locked in the confined space with your teammates, and it was amazing. Kind of just Katie, who's on the music, picking banger after banger. I think I'd helped encourage Marsh up to do the conga. I don't think I get enough credit for that. And I was also trying to steer him as well. He's even stiffer than me, so I was trying to move him about in front. But it was an amazing night. The gaffer had a wee chat, and just a couple of drinks, really good. Now, obviously, you had your moments maybe on the phone, but I don't think there'd have been. See, if you were to maybe look at social media activity from the team for those couple of hours, I reckon it'd have been pretty low, which it normally would in normal circumstance. But it was literally everybody was involved, everybody was loving it, and yeah, it was amazing.
I was going to ask, does Kieran always do the music?
I don't know if he still does. It's obviously been a wee while for myself, but yeah, he did always do the music when I was there.
Well, George Bowie drives a Ferrari, so I think he's still doing the music because he'll be getting checks every time Kieran Tierney plays bits and pieces, I think. So just to touch on that there, who was the first person you phoned from home?
I can't remember. Nah, I'm pretty sure it was my wife. I think I phoned her and my dad. Obviously my wife latterly has been obviously involved in my football journey or career, but my parents sacrificed so much to kind of help get me or give me opportunities to hopefully be a footballer, and I managed to do that, and then to represent my country, and again I touched on it before, I never thought I would be that passionate because I kind of grew up in a kind of Scottish Irish household, and that Peru game, it just I still can't go over how much pride and the emotion I felt that night, and still talking about pretty much any night with Scotland and the Serbia game no more. I remember being outside panicking. I couldn't get through. My phone doesn't have data. I can't phone over my bill because one time I racked up a massive bill. So I said, like, you can't use the phone. So I had to get connected to the Wi-Fi.
So you got hammered with roaming charges.
Yeah, so in Serbia, I couldn't phone because I hadn't connected to the Wi-Fi before the game, and I'm trying to connect whilst all like this is going on, and I finally got through, and then FaceTimed. I think my wife was with my dad and mum, so it was it was emotional. I think that's the best way to describe it.
Yeah.
Emotions that were filled with joy, but at that time I was maybe a wee bit of reflection as well, that wow, like we've done this, it's taken so long, and I was able to be part of it, which I would have never have thought throughout my full career, and still hugely proud and amazed.
I don't want to sound like a massive Stephen O'Donnell fanboy, but I was actually in Peru for your debut. I was one of the 232 Scotland fans, and it was as a result of a very late night and quite a few beers that we woke up in the morning and realised we'd booked flights to Peru because we thought it was a good idea at the time. But
how good was the atmosphere?
an incredible, like I tell everyone, it was honestly, you see these videos of like
Madness.
South American, the Copa Libertadores and River Plate, and the whole place was bouncing because that was the final game before they went off to the World Cup.
And they had a similar journey to us, and I think they hadn't
Yeah.
qualified for 20 years.
Yeah.
And the whole place, and this was really, again, for my first experience with Scotland, we were in the front, the kind of the harbour, the front of the...
Yeah, it was a sort of cliffside,
Aye,
wasn't
cliffside,
it? Yeah, I
it
know
was
what you mean,
beautiful. But you went 2 streets back, and it was proper poverty, like it was, and it was really sad to see that gulf. So this was a whole new experience for me. I'm seeing this, we are living like kings at the front, and it was a real shame. And then all these fans who maybe have nothing, they're chasing the bus trying to get tickets off you, and then the national anthem comes, and there's these wee kids in front of me belting out the Peru national anthem. I'm nearly in tears, just thinking, wow, like this is amazing. Like, not I've made it because it was obvious, but this was
Yeah.
incredible.
I will give you £20, Stephen O'Donnell, if you can name the starting lineup from that night.
Oh,
Just a Scotland one.
Jordan Archer,
Jordan Archer.
myself, Lewis Stevenson, left back,
Yep.
Scott McKenna, and Charlie.
Yep.
That was a back four.
You said £20.
He's
now.
beginning to panic now, Stephen.
Right, okay.
That's
right.
a back four.
Right,
You
you've
had
six to get.
John McGinn,
Yep.
Kenny McLean,
Yep.
and Shinny. No, Shinny was the Mexico game.
My £20 fine, that's
Oh,
fine.
whoa, he's cut you off a bit sharp
He's
there.
cut me off sharp.
You need to remember, he is from Fife. He hasn't spent £20 this year.
I'm doing all right though.
You're doing all right. The ones you were missing, Dylan McGeoch started.
Dylan was the sixth.
Jamie Murphy started.
He was off the
and Matty Phillips played up front, and Scott McTominay played in midfield. So there you are as well. It wasn't actually as rogue as I remember, to be honest with you. At the time, I was like, "Who are these people?"
Remember at the time though, like pretty much majority was quite early caps.
Yeah.
McGinn was only maybe 4 or 5, maybe
Yep.
maybe a wee bit more than that, 6 caps into
Yeah.
something like that.
To bring it right back to the Euros, then the Czech Republic game was obviously disappointing.
Did you thought I'd have made 26?
I mean, no, probably not. I mean, did you think you would make 26?
I didn't think I'd have made 2.
I mean, but that's the thing. Before we go back to the Euros, it just shows you how much trust Steve Clarke has in you, because
Well, that was Alec McLeish that was the one that picked me at first for the first maybe
but
7 or 8.
obviously Steve Clarke was in charge at Kilmarnock at that time, and you were having a great season at Kilmarnock, so that's why you were in the squad. And then when he took over, you must have been thinking, bingo, here we
I
go.
thought he was going somewhere somewhere in the championship, and I went down there, quadruple my money.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's fair, yeah.
I'll take it.
Yeah, absolutely. What's he like, Steve Clarke? Because, you know, both Roger and I have interviewed him many, many times. You don't get much out of Steve Clarke, let's be honest. But what's he like in the dressing room? What's he like on a one-on-one basis?
No, look, I think he does keep his cards close to his chest. I think he will occasionally show signs of, I'll say weakness, but signs of love or signs of passion or care. But the majority of the time, just he's calm. And like the Czech Republic game, in the Euros, I took a touch out the park, and obviously I didn't mean it.
Aye, totally, yeah.
And a lot of managers had, like, it's hopeless, you're brutal, that. And we're a wee bit of a heckle for the crowd, and obviously it's not nice, you've made a mistake. I don't know, I think it was 0-0 at the time, quite early on, and I was nervous, maybe, I don't know if overly any more nervous, but I was a bit more nervous maybe than normal, and I'm kind of running back past him, and you're obviously like and he just goes, try not to do that again, and smiled, and like instantly it just changes you. It was just like, that would be how I would describe him. He knew when to come for you, and he knew when to kind of just essentially put an arm around you, and that, I think, is what makes him a great manager.
Did it help that he played in your position, you think? Does he understand what you go through, and it makes it a bit easier?
Yeah, I think it certainly doesn't. Sometimes that can have a negative effect because they can then maybe over scrutinise you. I think he is just pretty calm and sees the full picture, and will see if you're doing the right thing for the team versus the right thing for yourself. And I think maybe at right back it's easier for him to see that because he has been there and maybe narrowed off or sacrificed yourself to get stitched up in the 1v1 because you're protecting somebody, or whether it's a big run. It does a number of different facets in football that can be the. And I think he sees it all. Even the centre mids, I think he sees his picture and he knows how he wants to play.
Obviously, your response to him was he only gets 6 caps and you get 26. So you're obviously 4 times better than he ever was.
Of course. And who wants to play for Chelsea your full career?
Exactly.
I was when Chelsea were rubbish, though, let's be honest. In terms of the England game, then, let's move on to that one. Then Jack Grealish has obviously never recovered from playing against you. Must have been an absolute career highlight. Playing at Wembley against England, it doesn't get any better for a Scotsman than that, surely.
Amazing. The films that were coming through for all the fans that had made their way down through COVID, singing the Marshall song, McGinn, it was incredible. The build up to that game, it was amazing. The aftermath of the Czech game was a bit tough, but obviously you need to then quickly focus on the games come quick, and in England it was nothing but excitement. You turn up at Wembley. I'd been there on a tour myself a couple of years previously when I was down at Luton. I went with my mates because it is an iconic and it is a pretty spectacular stadium, and you're walking out and it's amazing. I'm seeing Kyle Walker's on the stand for England. I'm going
he models his game on Stephen O'Donnell's.
Exactly.
Here, that's what.
And I'm just kind of going, wow, that's incredible. And then we go out and put in a good performance as a team, and again competed, which is the thing that we needed to be doing, and to progress we needed to compete against the top. We'd struggled against Russia in the previous campaign and stuff, and we need to be showing that we can compete against the big boys, and we did.
It was an excellent result as well. Excellent performances collectively and individually. England were getting a wee bit rattled by the end of it. I mean, when that kind of thing's happening, what is Grealish saying to you?
He's not saying much. He's just getting the ball and trying to dribble by me every time. It's not ideal. I think at that point there'd been Sterling. No, I think Rashford started, did he? Or Sterling started. Rashford maybe came on for a bit. I was just bamboozled, just trying to deal. Thankfully they were all right footers, so I could at least keep that game plan the same. But no, it was like you're just at that time you're starting to blow up. You're trying to forage through the game and get to 90 minutes, which was, if it stayed at a draw, I think we'd a few chances as well, and if it could have been a win, it might have been so different. But it was some game, and I think considering they got to the final, we competed with them. Like, they had a few chances in the first half. There was a spell we rode. I think Harry Kane had a header, but for last week we played a wee bit of football. We were picking them apart, and yeah, they were the better team maybe if you look at it, but it wasn't far off.
Was there much needle between the teams? Because I guess a lot of the players would have known each other from the Premier League and stuff like that as well. Or
I didn't really notice it. What I do know is if you can ever be more up for a game, I was more up for it. But you don't really. It's just because you don't mean it.
I know. I totally
England,
exactly. Yeah.
But equally, that can sometimes go the other way when you're switching off and you're too erratic and too emotional. But I think we also knew we needed to get something to kind of have a chance of qualifying. So there was pressure on it for us. But it certainly is easier going into it knowing that you're not the favourite, and that they did have a pressure, an arrogance, a swagger, and we were able to, for that 90 minutes, knock them off the perch.
Yeah, you said that there was a number of chances that game. You obviously won't have heard this, I don't think. Do you remember this happening?
Kieran Tierney down the right, he crosses it with his right foot to Stephen O'Donnell. Oh, it's a huge chance. It's a huge chance for Scotland. Stephen O'Donnell with the right-footed volley, tipped away from Jordan Pickford. We did everything right. Tierney, the overlap down the left, cut back, fell to Stephen O'Donnell, caught it flush, it's gone in the bottom corner. Jordan Pickford with a great save to keep England in it.
For Stephen O'Donnell to see how far that ball's came, to get his technique right, keep it down, incredible.
You've got the left hand side up the park and O'Donnell's in at the back post. Yeah, fantastic.
We are the new Brazil.
I knew I loved Mark Wilson when he played for Celtic.
And that's Mark Wilson with half a cap.
That is true.
45 minutes.
Yeah, that is true.
It
was one of those ones where you must have seen your name in the headlines. I mean, you caught it so flush as well.
I think the way it was coming down, the nerves were more busy, and then when I caught it, I went, "Oh, headlights, headline." Sorry, it was some strike. I think not some strike. It was some kind of iconic moment to a point for myself. But if it had been in, it'd have been so different.
Yeah, absolutely.
I might have walked off.
So
If it had gone in, you wouldn't be sitting here with us. You'd be,
no, you absolutely
you'd be writing your own checks.
Exactly. Let's move on to the Croatia game then, because we did get some from the England game, which meant if we beat Croatia, we'd be through to the next round. Easier said than done, as it appeared. But it was 1-1 at half time. My overriding memory from that match is probably similar to yours. Luka Modric was absolutely unbelievable. First of all, what was he like up close? And what did the manager say at half time? What was the team talk like at 1-1?
Look, I think when you go into these games, what frustrated me a wee bit was where I thought we operated well against England was we were the underdogs. Nobody expected us to get anything. But after that draw, we were coming up against an ageing Croatian team. That was all I kept hearing. An ageing Modric is about 50 and he's still the best player at Real Madrid.
It's just been in a World Cup final, yeah.
I couldn't understand how much disrespect we had for an age whenever these guys are operating at the top. Like they're amazing, and Modric was incredible. Did he even lose the ball that full game? Like the way he just in his finish.
Was it just one of those times where you just had to go? You know what?
No, I think we could have been better, but they were a good side, and that's just. I think was it Man City or I don't know how you say it. Or Vardiol.
Yeah,
he was playing like.
He's a left winger now. Apparently,
we didn't really know who you were, but you're not playing against mugs at a Euros. They're going to be good sides like Switzerland, Hungary again this time round. If we think we're going to go and beat them, it's a very slippery slope. Yeah, I hope we can, and I think we're in a great place to hopefully go and do that. But these are top teams, so don't just have it. Germany's a good team and other ones are rubbish, which is sometimes how it gets pitched.
I remember Steve saying after it, and he spoke about Modric and Kovacic and all those guys, and he experienced
Perisic.
The international experience, the number of caps they had compared to the number of caps that Scotland squad had at the time, a young development squad. The Czechs were the same, a vastly experienced squad. The England squad had been at tournament after tournament after tournament, and Steve was almost saying, we'll be better for this experience because the players will gain more caps, they'll gain more experience, they'll gain more confidence at this level. Do you think these guys, and so many of the 2020 squad will be the 2024 squad, will they be better for the experience that you went through back then, Stephen?
I think so, 100%. I certainly think they'll be able to handle, they will be able to handle things better if it goes a wee bit wrong, because I think the Czech game 1-0 down in a tournament, you knew before the game that factually the Czech team was the worst team in the group, like in terms of England, Croatia, and then they were on paper worse than those two. So you thought this was a big opportunity at hand, and to go down, the goal it maybe did rattle us a wee bit, and it took us longer to get back in control, albeit we did have chances in that game.
Yeah.
So I think that the whole occasion being the first game in 20 odd years, being at Hampden probably didn't help.
Yeah,
maybe with that.
I think probably. I mean, we're probably guilty of it as well, of underestimating the Czech Republic as well. I mean, Patrick Schick, who scored that day, has had an absolutely storming season for Leverkusen. So you know they had quality players in their team as well.
No, of course, but again, I've said that goes without saying at that stage of a tournament. And I think I'm fully expecting the squad to be in a far better place with that experience, because you can do nothing but improve from it. You learn from hard times. Good times are great, but the hard times is probably you learn the most. And the defeat against Czech, to be bounced back, shows the character they have anyway. We had, and I have no doubt that we are in a far better place going into this Euros with the squad as well. The squad looks take away the few injuries, it's looking brilliant. And
Steve Clarke will learn lessons for that as well, because you know it was his first major international tournament as well.
No, definitely. So I think even wee things like maybe details of what he thinks he maybe could have done differently round about the hotel or travelling to games, things that he might. I thought it was pretty perfect, but maybe there's things that they as a background staff could maybe change. I don't know, but
I mean, you hear quite a lot about that, mostly from England, to be fair. Like, you know, Capello in 2010, and they said the players were bored out their skulls for 6 weeks. I mean, is it a boring experience? I mean, what does a day look like when you're in the build up to these matches?
I didn't fit again. I'm maybe the wrong person to ask, because there was no part of going away with Scotland that I ever kind of took for granted. If you were maybe, I don't want to sound too cheesy, but whenever you went away, like it was amazing facilities down in Middlesbrough. We travelled up, we flew up to Scotland. Like, I don't think there was a golf course. I think we got one game of golf. The barbecue one night, like kind of, it was. You are away working, so you like, what can you do differently? Maybe the families come down, that kind of stuff. I don't know. Like, I didn't think it was long enough that it was an issue.
Right.
The first week when we went over to Spain, before you're away, you're getting good training in, you're enjoying time with the team. Like, you're calm, they're doing everything to make you as relaxed as possible before you kind of go back to Scotland and England and have the kind of the frenzy a wee bit. I loved it. I didn't think. Other than COVID, which was a bit of a pain.
Yeah, of course. There's none.
The facility's so good. England have pinched them for this Euros.
Have they pinched them for
this? Yeah,
and
Gareth Southgate's to Rockcliffe House up at Middlesbrough. He's taking the England squad there before they fly out to Germany.
So that tells you how good it was.
Exactly.
It was brilliant, honestly, and it was actually was looking to try and go down with my wife for an overnight there recently, but it was a wee bit pricey.
You could have swung a deal, surely. I mean, come on.
I think she was fed up hearing every day on the phone saying how good it was, and she's stuck in the house at the time with 2 kids, and I'm like, the spa. It's sunny, and I'm looking out on a beautiful golf course.
I think that's the first time anyone's described Middlesbrough as beautiful, by the way. So, just to sort of round off the entire Euro experience in 2020 or 2021 as it was, you know, it was a wee bit different because it was COVID, but you know, it's amazing just speaking to you. I can tell in your eyes that you're just absolutely bursting with pride, just even speaking about your Scotland career and the experiences that you've had.
No, definitely. I think pride would be probably the overriding feeling. Sorry, it was amazing from the first trip to Peru to my last trip to Ireland. Well, I was in Ireland just before. It was the last game. I wasn't involved. We won 4-1. Armenia.
Yeah.
Armenia was my last camp, and maybe not the best one to go. Not the best kind of memorable one in terms of thinking of the location and that. But like, went to Ireland the second last game, and my family were all over, and my Irish family were up, and like, memories for them as well. Like, I didn't play; wasn't even on the bench, but I'll never forget these days. They were amazing, and loved every one of them, whether I played or not. And would love to be telling you there's going to be more. Hope there is, but it's obviously unlikely, and it's again amazing experiences that I'll never ever forget.
And you've got 3 wee ones now as well, and you can actually show them and say, by the way. I was actually no bad player back in the day.
No, I don't. My wee boy, actually, he's not getting allowed to forget about it, because there's the Grealish top from that night and Perisic top. So
I was actually, that was one of our questions. We were like, did you manage to pinch any tops?
the Euros are definitely going to be kept in his head. When his pals tell me his dad was rubbish. Well, you don't have Jack Grealish in your wall. Look, I got a few tops. Couple of times I thought I got Eden Hazard's as well whenever we played Belgium over there.
How does it work then? Do you have to go and sort of nab them first? Because I imagine folk like Hazard.
Are you assuming Hazard didn't come and nab Stephen?
Well, that's exactly, Roger. That's a good point. Did he come and nab you?
The first one I ever got was Belgium, and was Jan Vertonghen. And I've kind of said after the game, I was kind of, can I get your top, please? And he's took it off. Strapping young man, hands it over, and I'm like, thanks. Yours? What do you want this for? I was actually raging, because I was at that point thinking, I don't know how many I'm going to get of these. I want to keep them all. You don't need this. You're not going to do this. Is not going to be in your house.
Well, you say that, but Jan Vertonghen is sat in Belgium doing a podcast about the Euros, and he's talking about Stephen O'Donnell.
Remember that Scottish guy that tried to rob his top, not giving anything for it?
Yeah, totally. But that's cool. You got Grealish and Hazard and stuff as well. A couple of quick fire questions, then we've got a quiz, because I don't know if you've noticed, we've actually got an enormous trophy here, right?
That's not coming home with me,
so everybody who comes on is going to compete for this trophy. I don't know what it's called, Roger. You can come up with a name for the trophy. I think so.
I've got one in my head just now.
Right, okay. Well, maybe you could keep that in your head. A couple of quick fire questions. We've covered some of them. So we've already got picking the tunes in the dressing room. That's obviously Kieran Tierney. Who's the teacher's pet? Or is that you?
Maybe me.
Right,
at
okay.
the time, maybe.
Fair enough. Who's the toughest opponent? Who's the one that you just have nightmares about?
Hazard was tough.
Yeah. Moaniest person in the squad?
Robbo. Driving standards, but
Okay.
same thing.
Who's the best singer of the national anthem?
I'd like to put myself up there.
You
Maybe
think?
McGinn.
Aye.
McGinn, maybe.
Yeah.
Not overly in tune, but I used to give it.
Do you get torn into the boys who don't sing?
That was above my pay grade.
All right, okay.
I focused on myself.
Best player in the Euro 2020 squad?
From the games, or who I thought when the squad was picked as the best player?
Or who you think in training, or matches, whatever? Who's the standout player?
I'll say Robbo, McGinn.
That's two though, Stephen. I need you to pick one. Robbo, right, okay. Sorry, John. You didn't get in it. Right, time for the Summer European Football Tournament quiz. Has to be named that for licensing reasons, of course. Obviously, Roger Hannah is an absolute demon when it comes to beat the pundit on Clyde One Super Scoreboard. So you're going to be my glamorous assistant for this, Roger.
Right, okay.
You're going to keep score.
All right.
Okay, so there's going to be 60 seconds on the clock, Stephen, and then you just need to rattle through as many questions as you can. Okay, you can write down on that wee sheet of paper if you fancy. Have we got 60 seconds on the clock? I think we do. Stephen O'Donnell.
Can I say pass?
Yes, you can pass if you want, but I mean, it'd be preferable if you gave an answer. Just for the purposes of this quiz. So 60 seconds on the clock. It's our European Summer Football Tournament quiz. Stephen O'Donnell is first up, and your time begins now. Name any player who played every minute of Scotland's games at Euro 2020.
Callum McGregor.
Who is Scotland's all-time most capped player?
Ken Dalglish.
How many times have Scotland qualified for the Euros?
1.
Who's played in more Scotland games, you or Billy Gilmore?
That was nice. Billy Gilmore.
Name any team who finished on less points than Scotland at Euro 2020. Scotland got 1.
I know Scotland got 1.
Any team.
Don't have a clue.
There was 2. Name anyone.
I don't know. It's
Pass. In what decade did Scotland last win a game at the Euros? What decade?
Nice. 90s.
In what city will the Euro 2024 final take place?
Munich. Berlin.
Who is higher in UEFA's country coefficient rankings? Scotland or the Republic of Ireland?
Scotland.
Name any player who made their Scotland debut the same night as you did against Peru.
Louis Stevenson.
And who? I've started, so I'll finish. Who was the last player from Motherwell to be capped for Scotland?
Take a Gallagher. What do you mean? Aye?
Like, from now.
Liam Kelly. Aye, but that's a... Oh, no, fuck off. Sorry.
Listen, that's fine. That's fine.
That
right.
was terrible.
Roger, I think we got through 10 questions there, actually. How did he do?
I wouldn't have got the one that I could be here all day with the one who got less points.
Now,
in Scotland.
we talk about people driving standards.
Yeah.
I sit here on a Monday night with Andy Halliday, a man who prides himself
He's good.
on his general knowledge.
Yeah.
Yet to be beaten this season and
Really?
beat the pundit.
Wow.
I also get pestered several times this season by your aforementioned goalkeeper, Liam Kelly,
Yep.
who assures me
He's good as well.
he knows better than me and knows better than Andy Halliday. And I tell him, Liam, you know the number, 0141 951 1025.
And he doesn't
You call
follow
at 7 o'clock on a Monday night and you put your reputation on the line. No, he must still have those gloves on and he can't work the phone.
Aye, that's what it
so
is.
I know this high standard at Motherwell. Let's see if you can keep up with it.
Right. Question number 1. Name any player who played every minute of Scotland's games at Euro 2020. You said Cal McGregor. Roger Hannah.
Yes.
Okay. Who is Scotland's
Yeah.
all-time most capped player?
Yeah, King Kenny.
King Kenny. How many times have Scotland qualified for the Euros?
3, I think it is. I don't
Four.
know. Is it 4.
4 is the correct answer. So you're
Why
on
did I say
2.
1?
Who's played in more Scotland games, you or Billy Gilmore? You said Billy Gilmore. It's Stephen O'Donnell.
26 to 25.
26 to 25.
You could have given me somebody about
And name any team who finished on fewer points than Scotland at Euro 2020. Roger?
Oh, that's a very good one. Albania? No.
You could have had Turkey or North Macedonia.
Oh, they were just slipping off my tongue.
They
Oh,
both
no,
got
that-
0
I wouldn't
points.
get that.
In what decade did Scotland last win a game at the Euros?
Correct. 90s.
90s.
1-0.
I'm just being told actually, Roger Hannah. First question. Callum McGregor did not start against the Czech Republic.
Is that right?
So the answers are actually Andy Robertson, David Marshall, John McGinn and Scott McTominay.
Why did I?
Wow.
So
Can't
actually,
we always play? You just think you always play.
And he scored. And
Yeah.
I don't think that's a bad answer.
it's not a bad answer, but it's
one I
not
like
a
to give him.
correct answer. In what city will the Euro 2024 final take place? You hummed, you hawed, you said Munich, then you said Berlin.
Munich, Berlin.
Berlin at the Olympiastadion on the 14th of July. We'll see Andy Robertson lifting the trophy on that day.
We'll give you that, Steve.
Yeah, exactly. Who is higher in the UEFA's country coefficient rankings? Scotland or the Republic of Ireland? You said Scotland. That's the correct answer. We're 11th. Ireland are 35th. Name any player who made their Scotland debut the same night as you did against Peru. You said Lewis Stevenson. That's what you said. Yeah, that's the correct answer. You could have had Jordan Archer, Dylan McGeer, Graham Shinney, Lewis Morgan, or Chris Cadden. Would you got any of them, Roger?
Yeah.
Okay, all of them.
Not all of them.
And who's the last player from Motherwell to be capped for Scotland? You eventually got Liam Kelly. He got his cap against France on the 17th of October 2023, so you got that one. That leaves a score of
6.
not bad.
Not bad at all.
Not bad at all. Okay.
There's a few dubious ones in that though.
Well, listen, we're giving you the benefit of the doubt here.
If 6 is good enough to win this entire quiz, what moves? Is it the Grealish shirt or is it the Perisic shirt to make way for this trophy?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we've got the as yet nameless trophy at this stage.
The Alaba strip.
Okay, right.
I'm keeping the 2 good ones. I'm
Right,
keeping
that's fine.
the 2
Right.
Euro ones are
That's
going
fair
down.
enough.
Well, if you do win it, we'll get that sent out to you, obviously. So, Stephen, thanks so much for joining us on Euro Stories with the Scottish Sun. All the best, and I hope you enjoy the summer. And you at Motherwell next season? Is your contract up? What's happening? You signing with Dunfermline? What's happening?
Not quite sure yet.
Right, okay.
Looking forward to the summer, and I think there's talks meant to be happening. So
All right, okay. Well,
Hopefully.
that's fine. Right, well, tell us first, or tell Roger first, and then we can tell everyone else. Roger, thanks so much as well. And we will catch you next time. Remember, you can stay ahead of the game as well with Scottish Sun Sport online. Just head to the scottishsun.co.uk and you can check out Clyde One Super Scoreboard, the YouTube channel. We are live every single night from 6 p.m. with Gordon Duncan and the lads. And of course, our podcast feed for everything, including the Big Scottish Football Podcast as well. We'll see you next time. Thanks very much for joining us. Cheery bye.